Hey guys, I wanted to take a second to go over some of the championships that we have on offer in the major series. Now that we've got a race under our belt, we've got some data that's not hypothetical anymore, and we can really look and see what we are fighting for. And then one of the cool things about the major series, obviously, is with all the different types of racing, you've got people that are going to come in and race and have particular events that are on their radar and are things that they want to win and things they want to compete in. Other people are going to be looking at it from a more holistic perspective and want to, you know, do well across the board. Other people are going to vie for something more along their driving ability. So let's go through it. So there's a lot to go through. You can see that if you go to the standings page on PacificMajors.com, the initial thing is just going to be broken down by region and by club. Okay, so within each region you have 5 championships, and 3 of them are individual and 2 of them are team. So the 3 individual championships are Pro, Sportsman, and Legends. Now the first 2 are basically categories based on your iRating. So if you're familiar with the iRacing divisions, right, 1 through 10, this is similar except for there's just 2 of them. It's Pro and Sportsman. Now, if you are a Sportsman level driver, that means you have less than a 2000 iRating in both your oval and road disciplines. A Sportsman level driver can elect to race up into the Pro. Pro division driver cannot race down, and nobody can race in both. So you're either competing for Sportsman or you're competing for Pro. You're not competing for both. The Legends division is an age category, so any driver who is 50 years old or older by the time the season comes to a close is eligible for the Legends division. Now you can compete in both the Legends division and in either the Pro or the Sportsman, so they're not exclusive in that way. So it's just an extra championship for our more veteran drivers. So on the individual side, in all 4 regions, you have Pro, Sportsman, and Legends. You might be competing for up to 2 of those, or possibly just 1. On the team side of things, so there's 2 team championships. One is our Constructors Championship. So that is our team championship in the sense that it is the teams that you construct on your own. You come up with, and you can have up to 5 drivers on that team, and 3 will score each week, and that's our team championship. And the Governor's Cup is the club-related championship. So it's, Northwest versus California, West, Australia, UK and I, whatever. Each region, all of the clubs that compete in that region are against each other in the Governor's Cup, and that comes with some perks for winning that. All these things have something that winning them will bring you, okay? Then you got your club championship. So each driver, in addition to competing as an individual in either Pro or Sportsman and possibly Legends, is also competing for their club championship. Now, really and critically important on all those. So we're just going to go through really quickly, and I'm going to hit all of them real fast. So here's a Pro division in Europe, okay? Now, again, the top driver in each region in the Pro division is the Mario Andretti driver champion for that year in that region. There's 4 of those guys. You're going to earn a trophy in Mario's likeness, and you're going to be invited into the championship finale at the end of the year. Now, the championship finale is one of our special events. It's our postseason event. It's the last race of the year, or last 2 races of the year, I should say, and our best drivers get invited. And to see who's the best of the best, right? So anyway, the number 1 driver is the Mario Andretti champion, and they're invited. In addition, 2nd and 3rd place are also invited automatically to the championship finale. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, they might get invited. They're not guaranteed. We'll talk about that in a second. So anyway, European Pro, again, this is all the drivers who are 2,000 iRating and above that raced in the European region in the race 1. Okay, there are already more than 60 people in that category. Pretty cool. If we look at a Sportsman division, we'll look at the Atlantic division Sportsman, or Atlantic region Sportsman, excuse me. Again, Sportsman is for drivers less than 2,000. This is our Dan Gurney Award, and the winner of this will receive a trophy, and no other invitations necessarily, but you'll win a trophy for being the Sportsman champion. And in Atlantic, there are 37 drivers right now qualified and competing for the Sportsman Trophy. Okay, again, under 2,000 rating to compete. If we look at the Legends division, we'll go to Pacific for that. And again, these are all the drivers in the Pacific region who are over 50 years old. And Brian Bennett is actually our defending champion of this category in the Pacific region. And Brian Barnes is a multiple-time champion of this region. These are some very fast guys that are age 50 plus, so it's pretty awesome. But again, 31 drivers meeting that 50-year-old standard and are competing for the Legends Trophy. One quick note in the standings, if you notice these little stars next to some of the names, that simply means they have used their guest drive for points. So this person, Brian, he raced in the Europe division in round 1. He no longer can race as a guest in another region for points. So if he needs to skip around, or if he races as a guest in another region at any other point in the year, he will not carry points back with him. So you can kind of keep an eye on your competition to see who has used that free pass, or joker, as John King likes to call it, who's used their joker. And anyway, just FYI, that's what that is. So those are the 3 individual championships. Now, if we look at constructors, let's look at, stay in the Pacific real quick. We'll look at the Constructors Championship. And Constructors Championship is a big deal. Obviously, people take their teams really seriously to begin with, and as a nod to that, recognizing that and realizing this is something that's very important to people, is their team, the teamwork, working together, all of that. We wanted to make the championship important, and I think we've gone and done that and then some this year. So the Constructors Championship does a bunch now. But most importantly, so at the end of the year, you'll have a Constructors Champion, and that'll be after all 14 races. The team with the most points will be the Constructors Champion for that region. Now, the way a team earns points is they can have up to 5 drivers on their team. You'll count 3 drivers each round, or up to 3 drivers each round, and that'll be your points total for that round. You add up all 14, and that's your season total. Again, the highest scoring team at the end of the year is the Constructors Champion for 2018. But we actually have for the first time ever, the Major Series is going to have a team event, a race for the teams, and that's the midway point of the year. It's almost like a road all-star race, if you will. And after 7 rounds, we're going to have the 24 Hours of Le Mans. We call it the Majors 24. And this race is going to be a little special in that with the LMP1s coming out in iRacing here in just a month or so, or less even, we're going to get to compete with the LMP1s at Le Mans for the first time. And it's going to be a 24-hour race in the Major Series for the first time. And I think there's going to be a lot of interest in running that class, right? And in the real Le Mans race, the top class, the LMP1s, whatever car that may be, that particular year is the focus, right? The overall victory is the focus at Le Mans, and that's going to be our focus as well. And so in order to get to race the LMP1s, you can't just decide, hey, we're a team, we're out here, we'd like to race. No, you've got to be in the top 3 in your region in the constructor standings after Indy. So after 7 rounds, if you're in the top 3, and you can see when you go to the constructor standings in all the regions, the top 3 are designated with this little yellow or gold highlight, and that tells you that they are currently qualified for the LMP1 class at Le Mans. So if a team earns that top 3 designation and is earned the right to race LMP1 and they don't want to, let's say they want to race GTLM or something like that, they can. They're more than happy to forego, or more than welcome, to forego that privilege, and it will go to the next team in line. So the goal is that from each region we'll have 3 teams in the LMP1 class, so 12 total cars in the LMP1 class. The rest of the up to 60 cars on the grid will be made up of LMP2, which is HPD, and GTLM, so either the Ferrari or Ford GTE car. So going to be an interesting race for sure, and again, the fight to get into that top 3 is going to be very interesting. But even more so, one reason why a team might not want to forego that that privilege of racing the LMP1s is that the top team in the race, so the overall winner at Le Mans, will earn $500 for their team owner, right? And their team owner can do whatever they want with it. So $500 to the team owner winner, okay, and that's got to be for overall, not by class. And perhaps more importantly, the winning region. So again, there'll be 3 cars, 3 LMP1s from every region in the 24 hours. The winning region, the region that has the first place car, is going to earn pole position for the championship finale at the end of the year. I'll talk about that in just a minute, but that's a very important perk. So all those things are going to come down to Le Mans at the halfway point of the season. So keep an eye on the constructor standings for that. Now, if we want to look at the Governor's Cup, we'll look at Europe for the Governor's Cup. So every region has a Governor's Cup, and that is for the top scoring club in that region. Now, each club will count 5 drivers, or up to 5 drivers each round. And the team with there's no drops. The club with the most points at the end of the year is the club champion. Now, the Governor's Cup champion. Now, this year, we're going to have a tournament for our Governor's Cup winners and the runner-up in each region. So the top 2 teams in each region, again, as designated by the gold highlight, will be invited to participate in the Global Rally Cup. And that's a round-robin rallycross tournament where all 8 teams will get to face off against each other. And the top 2 teams after the round-robin will face off in a final. And the winning team will each member of that winning team will earn $100. Now, how do you get on your team, on your club team, if your club is one of the 8 that advances? Well, you finish in the top 5 in your club standings. Okay, so that'll guarantee you an invite. If your club is in the top 2 and you are in the top 5, you are guaranteed an invite into the Global Rally Cup. If you decline entry into it, if you're in the top 5 and you decline entry, it'll go to the next person in line, and the next person in line, and so on. So again, if you want to guarantee an entry, finish in the top 2, be in the top 5 within your club, and you've got an automatic spot and a shot at that $100. And it's just going to be a super fun tournament to end the season. It'll be on the same day as our championship finale, so that's going to be our championship weekend, which will be on December 1st, 2018. So we really wanted to add some stakes to the Governor's Cup. I think it's a great event, a great championship, and we wanted to add some importance to it. Now, so we've talked a lot about the individual championships and the team championships. Here's the club championships, and why are they important? Well, again, it's just one more thing to fight for, number one. So our goal is that you always are eyeing something that you can take home, something that was within your grasp, either from an ability perspective or whatever, or just something that motivates you, right? So our club championships are just another way to do that. And as I mentioned, there's a perk to if your club is in the top 2 and you're in the top 5, you get to go to the Global Rally Cup. But there's another one. So let's just take a peek. Here's a big one. We'll look at the UKNI. So here's the UKNI club. Now, this is all the drivers who competed in the first round for UKNI. There's 26 of them. This list will grow as the year goes along, for sure. The club championships are just like the other individual championships in that there are 2 available drop weeks. So if somebody missed the first round, they're not out of it. You can miss 1 oval and 1 road and really not be anywhere behind. You can only count your top 6 on both oval and road in the championship anyway. But here are, again, your top 26 drivers from the club, UKNI. And at the end of the year, if the UKNI qualifies for the Global Rally Cup, the top 5 will be invited into the Global Rally Cup. But the top 1 is guaranteed an entry into the championship finale. So each club champion, there's 35, are potentially guaranteed a spot in the championship finale. Now, why do I say potentially? Well, in order for a club to have their champion automatically qualified, that club must have at least 5 drivers score in at least half of the races. So the threshold is not very high, to be frankly honest, but you have to have at least 5 drivers score in at least 7 races. Now, I would say the UKNI is going to absolutely be one of those clubs that has an automatic entry, no question about it. And so whoever wins the club UKNI championship will be designated the UKNI champion. That's cool all by itself. Club champion will receive an award and will get an automatic entry into the championship finale. Now, if you're in a smaller club, right? Let's pick out, let's say, Benelux. Very happy to see that we got 5 drivers from Benelux in the first round. But they got to have at least 5 in 7 rounds. So that's 1 out of 7 down. They got to get 6 more. If they do so, then their top driver, at this point it's Bram, would automatically qualify. Now, let's say they don't. Let's say they don't meet that threshold and they only get 5 drivers in 6 events. Can their top driver still make it? Yes, they can, but they have to be first through third in their region. Okay, so when we add up all the automatic qualifiers, the potential, right? We've got the top 3 from each region. So in the pro split, in the pro division, you've got 1, 2, and 3, and then you've got each club champion. If all 35 clubs automatically qualify, they won't. But if they did, that would be 43 spots on the grid. That's our max field size for our championship finale. As we start to have clubs that don't have automatic qualifiers, again, which we certainly will, have clubs that do not qualify for an automatic qualifier, those spots will then be given to the next highest ranked tier in each region. So instead of just taking the top 3, we would then move on to the top 4, right? Once we've lost 3 of our automatic entries, we would move on to the next level. So our goal is to have about 40 drivers in that championship finale. And why do you want to be in the championship finale? Well, number one, you're the overall winner. You are the Mario of all Marios. You are the most versatile driver in all of iRacing. You are the major series champion for the year, right? So the title is one reason you would want to be invited into that event. The second reason you'd want to be invited into that is we call it the Champions Charity Finale. And the reason for that is that our history is that each of our champions each year gets to choose a charity that we race for in a charity event. Well, this year we're going to have 4 regions, 4 champions. And we thought that instead of limiting it, we're going to allow all of our champions, which is all of our Marios, right? All 4 regional champions and every club champion. Well, everybody who's invited into the championship finale is going to get to choose what charity they're racing for. And you'll get to paint your car in that charity. We'll get to advertise and promote it, in the month leading up to the event, because there's a month between our final race of the regular season and the championship finale. So we'll get to raise money during that period of time for your charity, see which of our drivers is able to raise the most money during that period of time. And at the end of the race, the conclusion of the race, the winner of the race, the overall winner, is going to get at least $1,000 to their charity from the series. So that's pretty cool. The championship finale is going to consist of 2 races, 1 oval and 1 road. The road race is going to be the Formula Renault at Interlagos, and the oval race is going to be the NASCAR National, or the K&N car, depending on how you would like to call it, at Homestead, Miami. So both of those tracks provide great racing. Those 2 cars are going to provide great racing. They're also better. Those are cars that are better acclimated to larger fields, so I'm expecting clean races. And one of the really cool things, I think, about the way those races are set up and the way the grid is going to be done is there's no qualifying before those races. There's no race week qualifying before those races. Your grid spot, if you have been invited, if you've made it to the championship finale, your grid spot is determined on where you finished the season, right? So that means our top 4, our first 4 grid spots in both oval and road, are going to go to our Mario Andretti champions. And the grid order for those 4 is determined, as I talked about before, at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So if the European region wins the 24 hours, they're guaranteed pole in both oval and road. It's that simple. If the very best Pacific team finishes 4th at Le Mans, then that's the best they can be grid, is 4th at the championship finale. So the team events are very important in determining your region's seeding, and which will determine the gridding for your drivers. Okay, so if you're the top seed, you get the 1st, the 5th, the 9th. grid spot. All those things are very important. But again, if you win your region, if you're the Mario Andretti champion for your region, you will be guaranteed at no worse than fourth on the grid for both the oval and the road. And the races aren't long; they're short. They're sprint races, and so coming from the back, barely qualifying in, is going to be difficult to move your way up and win a race. It just is, and it's designed to be that way. We didn't necessarily want somebody who is barely made it into the field to be crowned our overall champion. So again, you earn your way into the field, you earn your way onto the grid, and you earn your grid spot in the championship finale. And so your finish for the season is very important to where you would line up in the championship finale. So all of those things, I think, lend itself to a great season of championships and a great finale on the 1st of December of this year. So that is a briefish tour of our standings page. I hope that helps you understand what you're fighting for, why you're fighting for it, what's important. We're going to continue to take on sponsors throughout the year. We're going to continue to add prizes and awards, and as we do so, we'll announce them. But what you've heard is the minimum that's going to happen, and we expect it to get even bigger. So good luck.